Morning. Thank you back there. Appreciate it. Yeah. This is our staff meeting of June the 16th. We have one important item on our agenda, and then we have an executive session right after that. So we're going to go on and get started. Angela, did you want to get started? Welcome.
Morning. I'm
Morning.
Angela Rockman, Community Economic Development Administrator, and today I'm presenting the board with some here we go, recommendations for our inaugural MAP grant cycle. Um, so the Micro Enterprise Advancement Program used CDBG funds to support small businesses for 4 or fewer employees owned by low to moderate income residents within our participating jurisdictions. This is a new program for Hamilton County, and this first cycle represents a significant milestone for our department. So there were 3 components to the program, and one was that they took a class. They took a class that Alloy developed in business planning and in marketing, so they would be prepared when they got these funds to really deploy them. 2 is this part here, the capital, providing low-income small businesses with up to $10,000 in CDBG grant funding for items like working capital, marketing, things that are really going to help them position their small business to grow in the future. And then component 3 will be ongoing support. Over the next year, we'll be checking in with them and making sure they're doing all right, spending the grant funds, but also making sure that there's no concerns or questions with their businesses. And our partners at Alloy are happy to help us do that. So, some quick facts. We received 44 applications from May 4th to July 1, which was the application window. Of those, 23 were determined ineligible prior to the committee review. That's primarily because they were outside of our CDBG jurisdictions, or the applicant didn't meet eligibility requirements, and there were just a few folks that couldn't get us information in a timely manner, and we were in a compressed time frame. The remaining 21 applicants advanced to full committee review. We reviewed the applications. The total request exceeded more than 200,000. The applicants were reviewed by myself, Kelly Adamson, our Senior Economic Development Officer, and Patrick Longo, the President and CEO of Alloy Development. And the applications were scored against some established program criteria. So we wanted to look at if the business was ready, if they demonstrated kind of an understanding of what they wanted to do, if their project was feasible, if they could complete it on time, if it was actually eligible for CDBG funding. So we ranked them based on that. This slide shows the geographic representation of the awardees, the recommended awardees across the participating jurisdictions. So there is a reach across the county in terms of where we're funding these businesses. The committee recommended funding all 21 eligible applicants, totaling $196,511.01 of the appropriation. 20 applicants are recommended for their full funding request, and 1 applicant is recommended for a partial award, which is aligned with the business's documented revenue and consistent with some program accountability standards. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I want to acknowledge the hard work. I'm part of the CED and the review team in launching this program with some quick turnaround dates. And if assuming there's no issues with the recommendation, a by leave will be requested on Thursday's agenda.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. I think I sent you some kudos on this packet and the diversity, as you were saying, of allocations. Just really happy about it. The education component of it, is that a new part or not? That's always been there where they take
It was always part of the program design. Yes, they could take the classes, and we encouraged them to take them at Small Business Day. But for those businesses that couldn't make it to Small Business Day or were doing other things, Alloy did offer makeup classes at their location.
Great, thank you. Vice President Reese.
Yes, I want to thank you for this. As I want to thank you and the administration because we don't have the ARPA like we had before, and we needed to find a innovative way to be able to still help small businesses. And I think at a time when they critically still need it. And so to put this together, and we had the launch at the Small Business Day. I said, I want to launch it at Small Business Day. And I think it was very also innovative that the requirement for the classes, we had our workshops that were free. And I saw a lot of people there that came over, applied, and then said they had to they went to the workshops while they were there. So it was very efficient for small businesses versus going home and then trying to find classes and then, gas is $5 a gallon. I think it was so innovative for us to have it in one stop. I mean, a true one stop with the Small Business Day. A lot of people have small business events, and this is what I have said, and I want to make sure ours never was not that. They have them, and it's just a lot of talking. It's just, come in and get, it's been going on for years. My parents, I remember their business when I was younger. They said, we can't go to these things if there's not a real opportunity for help. And so a lot of people are having these small business and come find out and let's talk and let's try to pair up. But nobody has what we have here with Hamilton County and our Small Business Day. When you come there, you got a real shot at getting some real help. So it's good to see now those who applied, both at the event and outside of the event, and they're able to be recommended. I want to look at them. There may be some questions I have before we have our final vote on it, but I just want the people to know of Hamilton County that this is not normal. I've been to these things, these matchmaking and chit-chatting and round tables, and nobody walks out with a deal. No one walks out with any real help. It's business cards, it's pamphlets, and everybody who's putting on the program is getting paid, but the people who are small business, they're losing money to come to these things because they want to have a chance. So I just want to I'm just doing some more bragging rights about what we've done. And I do also want to thank Holly because I kept pushing. I said, Holly, can we get to 200,000? Can we squeeze? He was like, let me get back with him. And so I want to thank Holly, Jeff, and I want to thank you, Angela, because y'all got in and they said, we got good news. We squeezed. So thank you for that. And I just want to commend you again.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. I've got a couple questions for you, but I too want to mention the quick turnaround on this. I appreciate you all putting your heads together and figuring out a way to impact small businesses in a productive way. We did take money from another pot. I did want to recognize that and put it into this pot, and that's fine for now, but the other pot was important as well. So I just want to be careful about the funds and where they're all coming from. And to that point, I know this is a new program, so the dollar amounts that are being allocated to the small businesses, can you help us understand the stories behind these numbers? Like, what are the small businesses intending to do with these dollars from the county to help expand what they're doing in their businesses?
Certainly. Well, we have a wide variety of businesses that we're assisting, from a salon to an auto mechanic to a person that does landscaping and anywhere in between. And so a great deal of the funds are going for folks to get their marketing, to get a marketing strategy and partner with someone to redo their website, to help with, their search engine operations. Some of the funds, for instance, are going to the auto mechanic to purchase a car lift, which will then help them be able to do additional services. So there's actual equipment that we're purchasing. And then some of the hardest to get money, which is actually working capital for small businesses, we're coming in with that too. So we're helping them with their rent so they can focus their funds on other things. We're helping them with, again, marketing, executing their business plans in a way that help them figure out strategically where to place money, not only in their advertising, but what kind of things they need to improve their building. What we're not able to do with this CDBG money is help to improve their actual structures of the buildings, because that just gets into Davis-Bacon. And for this small amount of grant, the juice really isn't worth the squeeze, in our opinion. And so we are focusing on things just that are easy to get done by the grantee, that don't require a great deal of follow-up.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of put some stories behind the dollars. It's hard.
Yeah,
I've got the list in front of me, but I mean, they're so different from one another. You've got the auto body shop, and then you've got Aunt Flora's, and then you've got a nail bar, and so they're so different from one another.
So some people are getting like a chair, a salon chair. Some folks are getting a automated nail thing with the ventilation.
Okay.
Some equipment for cooking. It's all over the block because
map.
the grants are all over the block.
Yeah, okay, and that's, I guess, the nature of having so many folks that got the grants, right? They've got all kinds of different needs in these different sectors. So, okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. Also, what you talked about eligibility by way of the CDBG, and it's interesting to think of it in the context of this program, because usually, I'll speak for myself, I think about it in terms of jurisdictions being eligible to participate and get some of those funds for their jurisdictions. And through this, it's the small businesses that are operating in those jurisdictions that become either eligible or not eligible because of the decision that's being made by the local government in that jurisdiction, right? Is that true?
It's exactly
okay. Yeah,
true.
it's just, I'm just struck by that. And so I wonder, how many jurisdictions do not participate in the CDBG?
Well, there's 4. Cincinnati obviously has their own CDBG dollars. They do not participate in the county. In the future, we might see if they're interested in putting some money into this program so that we can serve folks there. We did get a lot of interest for folks in Cincinnati, but we got some interest for people outside of our CDBG eligible areas, and those areas are Evendale that do not participate, Blue Ash, and Indian Hill.
Okay.
And so businesses that were in Blue Ash and Evendale were ineligible to
I
receive.
see, and yeah, I didn't even think about the city of Cincinnati because they have their own pot of CDBG, but were a lot of them from the city of Cincinnati? Okay.
Yes.
That's helpful. Okay. Yeah, I just, as you know, we talk to individuals out in these other communities, I think there's real value from my perspective in participating in CDBG. They've made decisions not to for whatever reason, but I think these impacts maybe would have been unforeseen as some of the jurisdictions are making those decisions. So I just was curious about that. Okay, well, thank you very much. Really appreciate the presentation.
Hold on one second. Also, I wanted to indicate, I know the last time you were here on a different grant, we were concerned about leaving monies on the table. So I certainly wanted to appreciate the fact that you didn't leave very much on the table. So I thank you so much. Sounds like everybody is in agreement that this is a great thing. So we'll have it on our agenda on Thursday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I forgot, I do need to give a shout out to Alloy and Greg Forte, our Office of Small Business. And I think we reallocated because we didn't want to leave money on the table. We are still doing economic impact grants. Those are still happening. And I also want people to understand when they look at these, it's $10,000, up to $10,000 per business. And that means a lot for a small business. But in the context of our budget, we're asking them to do more than we ask people who get $1 million grants from us, because they've got to go to classes, they've got to, afterwards, they've got exit interviews, and that's a lot for just 10. I'm sure if we asked a company to this day, if you want $1 million from us, you got to go to classes, you've got to apply. They don't do that. So it's a whole nother process. And these are $10,000 or less. So I want people to know we're not giving out $1 million grants. These are micro businesses and micro grants. And I think our board does a great job of balancing. And then the jurisdictions, when they come, it has to be at least 100,000, 50,000, 250, up to $1 million. And we still want to do that. And we are doing that for them. But I just want to say we have a business, because small businesses are business. They have to pay taxes. but they usually don't get anything back. And then it's the big ones that come in and get millions. They have no classes, they don't have to report to nobody once they get the money, and it's just a done deal. So I just want to say I'm glad that we're balancing as a board. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for coming. We have an executive session. Before I make a motion for that, I just want to indicate for those that are listening and our staff also that Thursday was our celebration day for Juneteenth. It will still happen. It will happen in this building instead of outside, because Wednesday and Thursday there is a forecast of a very strong low pressure system coming through this area, threats of severe damaging winds, large hail, possibly. We don't know, but that's what the weather forecast is saying in our own emergency people. And a few tornadoes through primary areas, not in this area is indicated. But also on Thursday, outside, thunderstorms, gusty winds are expected with peak gusts between 25 and 30 miles per hour. So we're going to have our celebration right in here. So you still can come if you're planning on coming at noon on Thursday, the 18th. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G1 to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee or official.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes,
Commissioner Reese? Yes. Commissioner Dreehouse? Yes.
thank you.